Hello everyone, my name's Christian. I'm new to YouTube, so please forgive me if I make any mistakes or stumble over my words. But I'm an aspie, and that means I have Asperger syndrome, and that's what I'd like to talk about. Just general information. Asperger syndrome is a high-functioning form of autism characterized by normal, if not above-average levels of intelligence, and a difficulty in connecting with other people, and a tendency to obsess. Now, I've had a lot of difficulty with my symptoms in the past. It's caused me a great amount of pain. But in the past few months, I've found great success in dealing with them when relieving that pain. And if any of you out there, any aspies out there, are having those same troubles, I just thought I'd give you some advice, or give you some strategies to help. First, I'd like to make an observation. I think a lot of the symptoms of Asperger's syndrome can be chalked up to one inability or difficulty. I'm not a psychologist or a neuroscientist, so don't take my word for it, but this is just done by introspection. But I think a lot of it can be boiled down to a lack of a subconscious take-in of information. This happens in social situations because you don't read the cues of other people as easily. That's supposed to happen below the conscious threshold. Or it happens because, like with overstimulation, for instance, it happens because it's almost like there's a little hole where a lot of information is trying to come in, and it's just maddening when it tries to get in through that little hole, since it's overwhelming. I think obsession has to do with this too, since it's almost like tuning out the rest of the world to just focus on that one little thing. It's like conscious attention multiplied 10 times. Things like toe walking can do with this too, in a more indirect way, because I find that when I'm more in a taking in outside information way, it's almost like tension goes away. I think if you're in that mode where you're shutting off information from the outside world, which I think people with Asperger's are in a lot, then there's tension, and I think that tension causes a lot of the toe walking. But, so yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with not being able to take in information from the outside in a natural, subconscious way. And I found ways to deal with that, actually. And it's caused me a great deal of relief. But I guess the way you do it is you practice being spontaneous. That might sound extremely contradictory and oxymoron, but it does work. You see, if you're overly conscious, like someone with Asperger's syndrome is, you're going to want to do something that strengthens your ability to act naturally, strengthens your ability to just feel naturally, to take in information, to not be in your head so much, but to just flow with it, if that makes any sense. I'm probably sounding like, I don't know, some new age crap or something. But one of the ways I found to do that is to just write. You know, just write whatever comes to your head. I'm a good writer, and so I will just write whatever comes to my head and just put it down on paper and not criticize. You see, that I think is a really big part of this rejection of this bringing in of information in a natural way, is that you criticize, you judge the information that comes in and you reject it. But you need to get to the point where you just do it naturally, where you take in the information without judging it or criticizing it, but just let it come in. And so if you write, you do that. You just pour forth what's in your head and just let it come through to the level of consciousness, per se. And you put it down on paper, and it helps. It's very relieving. It's very stress relieving. I'm a writer, so that's what I do. You could probably do it with music too, or writing, but just do something that you like, but don't do it with any criticism. Just do it. Just act naturally and try to act naturally. I know that sounds like a huge contradiction, but it works. If you try to do something without criticism, you'll find that it gets easier to do it without criticism from yourself. But, yeah. So I think if you learn how to act spontaneously, do things without thinking about them, or being self-critical, or even being overly consciously attentive, if you just let stuff come in and you just let yourself act, I think a lot of the difficulties with Asperger syndrome are eased. Like, for instance, when I was trying this activity of just acting spontaneously over the summer, it was amazing, because I started walking heel-toe. And it's also incredible because I started looking people in the eye. It's crazy. But it's because I think I practiced that ability to just pay attention, not intently, but just naturally and without a lot of effort, that I was able to connect with people more. Yeah, and I got more able to speak, and to speak without stuttering, and to do things like that. But it really helps a lot, and I would really highly recommend it. Just in summary, I would recommend doing something that you like, but doing it without any self-criticism. Just pour it out on the page, on the piano, on the sketchbook or whatever, and just let it go. And you'll find, at least I found, but what will happen is that you will find it easier to act spontaneously. You'll find it easier to act naturally. And you'll find it easier to take in information. Now, this might not work for you, I don't know, but it has worked for me. And so if there's even the slightest chance that it might help, I'm obligated to bring it to your attention. So yeah, there you go. That's my first video on YouTube. Tell me in the comments if you have any suggestions for future videos or anything. I don't know. This is just my first video. I don't know what I'm talking about. But, thanks for watching, and goodbye.